Welcome to the December 2023 edition of Upfront and REAL. I'm Karen Whitney, Director of Communications with Ohio's Electric Cooperatives, and this is brought to you by Ohio Cooperative Living Magazine. We're just 3 weeks away from the official start of winter, although it feels like winter out there right now, doesn't it, Pat? We've got our sweaters on today. We're talking about winter and the winter assessment that just came out from the North American Electricity Reliability Corporation. They put out this winter assessment that tells us, is there going to be enough electricity to go around to meet the demand this winter, which a lot of times depends on how cold our winter gets. It says we're at an elevated risk this year. What does that mean for us?
Well, it's not great, I'll say that. So NERC does an annual assessment both in the summer and the winter to look ahead and say, what does our supply and demand situation look like, and are there any weaknesses in our electric system that as the public we should be aware of? And this year, as they've looked ahead towards this winter, they've recognized that much of the country, including all of Ohio and many of the surrounding states, are at what they call an elevated risk of uncontrolled outages, which means if we get extreme cold weather events, we may not have an adequate generation supply to meet that demand. Or if we have extreme operating conditions that are unexpected, again, we may not have enough generation to meet the requirements of all of the people that live in these states.
So we saw the potential for that, got really close to it last Christmas. Some people know this, we've talked about it for the past year. So we could be in a situation like that again.
Right now, as we look ahead to this winter, we're in actually a little bit worse situation than we were last year. Last year we saw several states around us, I think there were 9 states that had to issue rolling blackouts to keep their grids in balance. Ohio and the neighboring states closest to us were able to get through it without having any impacts on customers and members, but we were very close. And we know since last year things have gotten worse. We've had 3 large power plants in our region that have closed since last winter. About 5% of the generating capacity is no longer available this winter that we had last winter. So that's the negative. The good news is last winter taught us a little bit of lesson about being prepared for these cold blasts that could sneak up on us like they did last Christmas. So utilities all across this part of the country have been asked to put special preparations in place to be sure that we're more ready than we were last year.
And I want to be clear for the people that see this out there, because this gets a lot of places, on Facebook and in social media. This isn't just an issue with Ohio. This isn't just an issue with cooperatives. This is a nationwide, probably even beyond the nation into Canada too, issue. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's a North American issue right now. But what has been pointed out is our part of the country, particularly the eastern United States and northern part of the United States, is particularly at risk during winter weather. Because here we are in Ohio, we can get extremely cold weather for a few days, and that will really stress our electric system. And we just don't have the reserves in place this year that we've had in past years. Those have been dwindling year over year. We've talked about that many times in the past, and we're in a little bit worse shape again this year than we were last year. So we've got to be as prepared as we can. We're doing everything we can at our power plants to make sure that they're ready for winter. We do inspections, we do special winterization projects. Each of our co-ops go around and make sure their systems are ready for winter. Their poles and wires are in the best shape they can be. But we all know that here in Ohio, we can have some pretty severe weather in the winter as well.
Yeah. So anyone that uses electricity needs to be prepared.
Right. And I think that's the biggest thing is we think about winter. Cold temperatures are dangerous for people if you don't have heat and electricity. We can have outages for lots of reasons. We can have ice storms or big windstorms, other things that are, less predictable than maybe a supply shortage like we're preparing for now. So it's good for people to just have a plan to be prepared in case their electricity goes out. Where are they going to go? How will they take care of their basic necessities? Will they be able to heat themselves? Will they have running water if they're on a well pump? What neighbors or resources do they have as a backup? And do they have like a go kit, so to speak, so that they're ready in case something happens? So the main thing is we want to keep everybody safe.
Yeah. And it's good to have perspective in these things. It's still, the probability is not huge, but it's there, and it's good to be prepared.
Exactly. It's an elevated risk, like they say, so it's something that could happen. We don't expect that it will, but we always want to be prepared because it is dangerous. When we have these extremely cold temperatures, people are at risk for their health and safety, and we want them to be ready and to take care of themselves as best as they can.
Okay. And then the last thing I wanted to ask you, here at Ohio Electric Cooperatives, we always like to talk about safety. We like to talk and prepare people as much as we can. What have the cooperatives been doing around the state to get prepared for winter?
Yeah, so we go through this every winter. At our power plants, we go through and make sure that things are winterized because we expect that there's going to be cold weather. There's a lot of things that are outdoors. There's water sources, things that we have to worry about freezing. So at our power plants, that's thing one for us here at Buckeye Power. But then each of the electric cooperatives have got to make sure their equipment is in good shape, that their men have appropriate clothing and supplies and materials. So in the event of really cold, extreme weather, they're ready to go, because when these big winter storms hit, they could be working for days or even weeks at a time. And so each of our cooperatives makes preparations so if the big event does hit their area, they'll be ready.
Okay. All right, Pat, as always, we appreciate you talking with us, and thank all of you for watching this episode of Upfront and Real, and have a safe, warm winter out there.